Hey, YouTube friends. Hey, welcome back to the channel. Tony Hill, making sense of credit. How we doing? Hope all is well. Um, Look, if this is your first time to my channel, thanks for being here. Look, this is the last of a four-part series, four videos that I've done. It's the fourth video, kind of an installment to a study that was done by Superior Tradelines, and so this is the last video that I'm going to be doing on this, but hopefully you guys have gotten a lot out of the last three videos, and then hopefully you get something out of this video. I got 8 and a 9 analysis, and then also the conclusion. Okay, so look, before I jump right in, smash the like button, hit the notification bell for upcoming content, make a comment if you like, and share this with your friends and family. Don't keep it to yourself. And most of all, subscribe. It definitely helps the algorithm on my channel. Appreciate you guys being here. Hey, look. So, change based upon the age of the individual. So, basically, they did a study. It was clearly from 19 years of age to 72. And basically, they found that age really played no difference in anything when it comes to the trade lines. And this is like the birth ages and that sort of thing, but age didn't matter. It was found that the average increase in credit scores was roughly 180 points, but there were no trends in which age saw the most change in addition to the trade line. And that was just based on average trade lines, but no difference. That's what that graph is. So that's an easy one. This one, trade lines for credit don't always work. I'm sure that's not great to hear, but it sometimes happens. Credit scores are based on 5 primary factors. Most of you guys know what those are: utilization, payment, credit mix, and the others. But out of the study, 5.8 individuals in the study experienced a decrease in score. Okay, primary reason why: increase in utilization, new collections were placed on the report, the addition of new inquiries, old delinquent accounts were updated, and there were recent late payments. So, that's going to happen, because like I said, if you do, go down the road and getting a trade line, you got to make sure, your house is clean and you're not going to have any surprises, when you spend the money for a trade line, or if you had a trade line from a friend or family, you want to make sure of that. Look, given the credit score heavily factor in the accounts utilization increased utilization can dramatically impact the credit score, since the study participants were able to use their accounts throughout the study, as this was the most prevalent factor that we saw inhibited the participants from improving their credit score. Once again, utilization, even more so than late payments. The third most prevalent, then you had utilization and then payment. Normally, as you guys know, payment is 35%, utilization is 30%. Well, based on this study, it was utilization first, late payment second, and then third most prevalent factor was late. The third most prevalent was the late payments. Second most was collections. So it's very important not to have any new things that kind of pop up. Some other factors: open a new account, closing the account, the addition of new inquiries or new charge-off and remarks. These factors contributed to a combined amount for roughly 25% of the cases, while the 3 most prominent factors, utilization, late payments, and collections, accounted for 73% in a decrease in score. It should be noted that there were no negative accounts on the reports, but the score was still decreased in this case. It is hypothesized that the credit scoring equation for the credit monitoring site was changed. So what they're basically saying is that sometimes these credit monitoring sites may do something that could change an algorithm, and it's no fault of anyone's, whether it's the trade line, not your fault, or nothing was changed, and all the factors are still the same. But that's very rare. That only accounts for like 2%. So I wouldn't be over concerned about that. But you might see it, but I wouldn't worry about that a whole lot. Let me show you this graph here. So basically, negative items present on credit report that lowered the credit score. Late payment, new accounts, account closure inquiries, charge-offs, remarks added to the account. And look, I'm just going to say this while I'm flying over. Man, don't put the fraudulent stuff on your guys' account, because look, I mean, when you screen some, my account has had some fraud. Look, lenders aren't going to be jumping. They aren't going to be excited about giving you credit, because they're thinking if fraud happened to you, fraud is going to happen to the line of credit or to the credit card or whoever that they extend you on. So please remove, if you have those fraud alerts on your credit report, remove them. Just freeze your accounts. You can freeze each and every account, but get rid of the language. Also, too, if you didn't see the other video, make sure once you get your stuff cleaned up, get rid of all the dispute language. Just count as a dispute. Call those credit bureaus and tell them, or send them a letter and tell them to take all that language off. So clean up your report even before you buy a trade line. So anyway, change in scoring equations. Look at collections. Collections is a big part of this. Like I said, collections even more so than late payments. So basically, increasing utilizations first, collections second, and late payments. And normally, as you guys know, late payments normally is 35%. So that's typically most important on your credit, right? But in this situation, with because of the trade line evaluation, this is what happened. Why the scores weren't increased, because of utilization first, collections, and late payments. So that's really, once again, blew my mind, and that's why this study is so brilliant, because a lot of things, are very contrary to what I thought and maybe what you thought. So, and some people will tell you that, I knew this. Nah, I don't think so. A lot of good new information that was surprising to me. So let's talk about the conclusion of this. So the addition of trade lines can be effective to improve your score. No question about that. But, the one thing you have to realize is it's going to have the biggest impact if you have little to no credit history. The average scores on people with little to no credit history, once again, I'll say this one more time, 108 points increase on Experian, 70 points on Equifax, and 83 points on TransUnion. Out of that, and that was found the average change in credit score for 860 participants in this study. That's big. But once again, the big significance is because majority of the participant had little to no credit score. So that changed the dynamics of it. Now, the average change in credit scores across all three bureaus for those people was 742 points, starting basically with no credit, right? And this supports the fact that zero in the study, but based on FICO, you start basically with a 3. To start you out at 300, so it's basically a 350 point increase. Okay, but typically, if you see some people, and I do this all the time for clients, they have zero credit. So, like I showed you, if you saw that video where I added my son as an authorized user, he went from 0 to even a higher score of 762. So I was 762 jump from no credit, and that could happen. Now, the average age on people who already had credit done in this study was 35 points for individuals who started with the credit score. And look, it makes sense because adding a trade line to an existing score will dilute the impact of adding a trade line, since there are factors beyond the trade line you got to take in consideration. Um, that's just a fact. Um, Trade lines beyond, and look, also too, I hear people saying, well, I want to buy a fourth or fifth trade line. Once again, this study proves that any trade line beyond the third to a credit report tends to be only marginal effect at improving the credit score, particularly for individuals who started to study with the credit score. So I wouldn't waste your money on that. And then once again, I found this to be the biggest revelation. Yes, the higher limit does, $35,000 limit and up. Yeah, it made a big difference. But a higher credit limit does not always result in a higher score. Once again, the 35,000 plus did considerable, that you guys saw if you watched the other videos. But the trade line from 20,000 to 24.9, and even 34.9 had the lowest impact. 20,000 to 24,999 had the lowest impact credit score. And the second and third most significant were seen by trade lines that ranged from 10,000 to 14,999 and 15,000 to 19,999. So they were second and third. So once again, higher credit score doesn't always make that. And out of 860 participants, I would have to say that's pretty accurate. I would bet my last dollar that, when you start looking at buying trade lines or you're adding trade lines from a family or friend, you're gonna find that. So, and then look, I had kudos to Superior trade lines again, because you know what? Hey, they could be telling us something different, because I've always even encouraged my clients based on what I've known over the 35 years, because I was told by other trade line companies, the older the age of the trade line, the higher limit, it's going to impact the scores the most, and that's not the case. Okay. So, and then the last thing, once again, we're just talking about age. While there are some situations where higher trade lines are necessary, but not the case for most people. Keep that in mind, depending on your credit. In a similar vein, it was hypothesized that the older trade line, like I was talking about, the more impact it would have on your credit score. This was contrary, which means that it was opposite of what I thought, or which maybe you thought. In the result of the study, it was found that trade lines with 6 to 10 years history had the highest average impact on credit score. The highest age group had the second lowest, which means, if it was super old, 20, 25, had the second lowest effect on credit scores, indicating that age is not a dominant factor in determining the trade line's impact on credit. But remember that 6 to 10 range had the highest. Now look, I think it's very accurate based, if this was done on 20, 30 people, but we're talking about 860 people, it carries some weight, right? So in closing, so basically at the end of the day, hopefully you guys got a lot out of this. Keep in mind the factors that I talked about that matter. Make sure you come in with a good credit file. Don't buy a trade line with bad credit when you got 2 or 3 collections, you got 2 or 3 lates that you just got. Utilization of 68, 70, 80%. I know a lot of people's thought is that, hey, my utilization is 70%. If I can get 2 or 3 trade lines to get that down, and look, that's going to help you, no question about it. But to what extent, you don't know. I don't know, and I would imagine, Superior couldn't tell you. But one thing I can say, you guys want to talk to those guys. They're the experts. especially Mike over there. I mean, this guy's brilliant when it comes to trade lines. He knows the stuff. So I would say talk to those guys. They'll map out the best route and the best trade lines for you to get per your credit. And one thing I look, just even this the study proves is that they're not looking to sell you whatever, because they didn't have to tell you that the trade lines that are the least expensive are the better trade lines, but they did. So kudos to those guys. Look, Tony Hill, making sense of credit, making sense of making money online. Hope you guys got something, got some really good information out of this. I'll try to put the link for this study down below. Matter of fact, I will. I know I said that in the last few videos, but I'll put the link down below so you can check this out yourself. I just wanted to go through this with you, add my 2 cents. But look, trade lines work. If you saw the one that I did on my son, it went from a 0 score to 719, a 742, and a 762. Once again, these are always going to work better for people with little to no credit. He went on to, to get his own Discover card for $3,000. Within 30 days or so of the authorized user that I added them to hit. So they work. And then also, once again, keep in mind the 108 points for people with little to no credit, 35-point average based on the study for people with, with credit scores. And it could be, it could be longer than that, because there was a study in there that, there was, I want to say it was 88 points in some of those also. But keep in mind that is going to vary based on your credit. You could have a big jump, you could have a small jump, but it's superior trade lines will not tell you exactly how many points you're going to move. No one can. And I'll just leave you with this. One thing you don't, and I tell my clients this all the time, because I'll analyze their credit before they sign up with my coaching program. And I'll look at their credit, and I'm thinking they'll have an authorized user and it's at 70, 80%. And I'll tell them, get rid of that authorized user, because that's hurting your score. So only get into an authorized user, family, friend, and if it's a really good authorized user, and they generally keep a very low, way under 20% or 0, have them add you to that account. Don't have them add you into it, and don't get added to a trade line that has negatives, derogatories, because you're going to adopt that same credit. So don't do that. One thing about purchasing trade lines, you're always going to get ones with pretty much 0 balances. So pretty much 0 utilization. So that's why purchasing trade lines are really a good idea. So that's about it, folks. Hopefully you got some out of this. Tony Hill, making sense of credit. Until the next video, peace, y'all, and be safe.